The king Vikramaditya does not give up and he grabs Vedal from the tree and puts him on his shoulders. The little demon is frustrated and he tries to make the king talk. Vedal looks at the king and says like this:
King, now listen to me. To see the loyalty that you have towards the priest is astounding. Usually kings do not care about people that are lesser than them. On that note, I am going to tell you a story of a man named VEERA. Listen, hundreds of years ago, there was a village named Vinjimalai. Even though he had a king-like presence, he did not use it to feel superior to the other people. He always made sure that he saves his people from thieves and violent individuals. He held a group of youngsters as a team.
Friends, we have to make sure that not a single thief is spared. We have to hunt them like a lion would hunt a deer. We have to end the trouble which causing our people. When you are here with us, nobody can stop us from achieving our goals.
It's like how kings like to hunt animals in the forest. Veera loved to hunt thieves in every way he possibly can. He would find them and he would fight with them, and all the thieves would fall and die for the strength of his sword. All this conquest and glory brought him nothing but appreciation and fame from the people. But he did not get anything in material. What other kings achieve in several decades, Veera had achieved in just a few years. After destroying every single thief in his vicinity, he went back to his village to live a peaceful life. But he did not have anyone for him. He was all by himself and alone. But he had a cook who would cook for him, and that was it. One day, Veeramallu was sitting in front of his home and waiting for the food to become ready. At that moment, a priest came to Veeramallu and said like this:
Good to see you, priest. What brings you here to my place?
Veera, I am a man who has lived all my life in search of a great individual. When I get into your village, all I heard people talk was about you. You are a man of the people and the people loves you. Did you ever think of being a king? Come on, you have all the potential for it.
No, priest, I have never ever thought about it. All I ever wanted to do is to help the people and serve them.
Even if you did not want to be in that position, the people love you and they are willing to do anything for you. If one day the position does come to you, what would you do?
Ever since I destroyed all the thieves, I have been extremely jobless. And even if I could be a king, how could that even happen? I am a poor man. Tell me, how can I be a king?
Okay, if you want to become a king, I'll take care of it. I understand your situation. Let me ask you a question. If someone makes you a king, what would you give them a prize?
I don't know what you are trying to say, but I will for sure do as much I can to appreciate the person who made me the king.
Okay, good. I want you to keep this promise in mind. I will make you a king and I want you to give me 100 silver coins every year.
If I become a king, I will not give you 100 silver coins. I will give you 1,000 silver coins. But how can I believe in your words?
Listen to me, Veera. I don't care how much money you have. Sure, I will make you a king. After you become a king, every year I will visit you in your kingdom. I want you to give me 100 silver coins. You have to keep this promise. Once you have kept this promise, you should never disobey it. Just keep it in mind.
Okay. I agree with you. If you make me a king, I promise to give you 100 silver coins each and every time that you visit me.
The priest listens to the king's promise and immediately vanishes from there. He then reaches the outskirts of the king's palace. He observes that the king had just passed away due to an ill health. At this moment, everybody in the palace were clamoring to know who the next king was supposed to be.
My friends, it is truly a sad day that our king has passed away, but we have to keep that aside and figure out who to have as our next king. our Prince Sanjay is rightfully the heir to the throne. But unfortunately, he is too young of a boy. But at this time, we do not have any choice. Come up and we have to pick him to be our king.
At that moment, the priest magically appeared in front of the court and says to minister like this.
What you were saying seems like a good idea, but I have a suggestion. Think about all the thieves that you are lurking outside of our nation. What would they think when they realize that a child is the king now? Don't you think they will be hurrying back to our nation to steal from our people?
I don't know who are you and how you came here. But you do have a good point. You have made us think twice about our decision. But how are we supposed to escape from these thieves?
Let me tell you, please listen. I know a man who lives in the mountains and who is a fierce warrior. His name is VEERA. He has destroyed several thieves and countless criminals. He is a man of honor and dignity. He does not want the position of the king, yet he is well worth for it. So, if we keep him as a king until the young boy grows up, our nation would be in safe hands. If VEERA become our king, the thieves that are lurking outside our nation will run away. Our people also will live in peace. Do you understand what I am telling?
The idea that you are giving me is a very good one. But my question is, will VEERA agree to this proposition?
That is my part to take care of. I will make sure that I convince VEERA to accept the position of king. I want you all to get the coronation ceremony in place for it.
The priest made all the ministers to accept his statement, and that evening, VEERA is made king by the entire nation. After hearing that VEERA has become a king, all the thieves lurking around the nation ran away and went to another nation. VEERA married the nation's princess and adopted the older king's son, Sanjay. The minister looks at the king and says like this.
My king, after listening to your name, each and every single thief in our nation have left to another nation. Even our neighboring kings are also quite shocked by this.
Okay, that's good. I want to put fear in the eyes of my enemies and my rivals. But I want peace in the minds of my people. You all must be very standard in that.
VEERA becomes a very busy individual. He spends the entire day dealing with the administrational works of being a king. He makes several decisions along with his ministers and his right-hand men. While he isn't working, he spends time with his family and rejoices. One fine day, the priest enters the palace and the king looks at him and says like this.
It is good to see you after a long time. To what do I owe you this pleasure?
I have heard great things about how you are running this nation. All the people seems to be very glad and happy of your kingdom. I am here to remind you of the price that you are supposed to give me.
Oh yes, how can I ever forget that? I am in this position because of you did for me. Therefore, I will make sure that I will do everything I can get you do what you want.
That is so great to hear. I almost thought that you would not give me the prize.
Don't worry, I shall give it to you right away and right now.
The king Veeramallu makes sure that the priest is given 100 silver coins. The priest receives the silver coins and leaves the palace. But as soon as this event occurs, the minister gets together and clamor with each other.
Does this make any sense? We are sitting here doing everything that the king asks us, and we are not getting any prize. Who is this man that is getting those silver coins?
The ministers didn't like the king that gave the priest the 100 silver coins. The king hears everything that the ministers said, but he does not mind it. He ignores the entire conversation that those men had. After a year of hard work and success in the kingdom, the king didn't even realize that 1 year has passed. The priest visits the king again. The king realized that 1 year has passed after seeing the priest again in his palace. The king is not so happy to see him in the palace.
My king, it has been exactly 1 year since I last came. I am here to collect my prize as you have promised me before.
Oh, I totally forgot that it's almost been a year. Do not worry. Come on. I shall give you the prize as I promised.
The king Veeramallu arranges one of his servants to hand him over 100 silver coins. After he does that, come on, the ministers start talking to themselves again. The king looks at this and thinks about the situation. The king looks at the priest and says,
Priest, I have a request for you. I would like you to come to my palace to collect your prize once in every 2 years. Meaning, I want you to come not next year, but the next year to the next year.
Okay, my king, I understand your situation. And I will make sure that I do as you say.
The priest does not think too much about the situation and he leaves the kingdom. Keeping the king's words in mind, the priest does not visit the king next year, but he visits the king a year after the next year. When the priest entered the palace again, the king is seen to be chatting with his ministers in the kingdom. The priest looks at the king and says like this.
My king, I have come here to collect my prize. I shall leave immediately.
What is this? Why are you coming in such an inappropriate times? Can't you see that I am busy? I told you to come next year, not this year. You would have to wait for a while. So you must wait because I am in a meeting right now.
The entire room is shook by the king's anger. The priest is confused by what the king is saying. The ministers talk about the priest among themselves. The minister looks at the priest and says like this.
Didn't the king tell you not to come? You come here every single year and beg him for silver coins. Do you think you are some kind of loan collector?
Priest, why are you annoying me like this? Listen, understand my situation. I want you to leave right now and come back later. At that time, I shall give you something.
My king, all these soft chats won't work for old man like this. Let me beat him up and send him outside. He will never come again.
My king, it would be for your own good to listen to me for a while.
How many times am I supposed to tell you to leave? Don't show your face again here. You better get out of here right now, or else you will have to face the consequences.
No matter how angry the ministers got, the priest's eyes did not shift away from the king's eyes. The priest quietly waited for everybody to finish their scoldings, and the priest said this to the king.
My king, I shall leave this place immediately. But one thing I ask of you is to answer a simple question of mine. Once you answer that, I shall never return again.
Sure, ask me any question you want. If you are going to leave, I am willing to answer anything.
My king, please listen to me. Come on, do you remember exactly what had happened when I first met you in your village?
Of course, I remember everything that happened when we met the first time. I was in my house waiting for the delicious food that was being cooked by my servant. The smell of that food still lasts in my memory.
While the king was reciting the incidents that occurred when they first met, after a while he can't able to hear anything around him. He closes his eyes and as soon as he opens his eyes, he was really shocked. Why? Because means he does not see a palace, nor the ministers, nor anything of his kingly materials. Why? Because means he is in old house right now. He opens his eyes to his old house and he sees his old servant still cooking and asking him to eat.
Sir, I would request you to kindly eat before the food gets too cold. It's getting late.
Let me ask you a question, my king. Why did VEERA change his character? What happened to him? What was his relationship with the priest that turned so sour? Was he inherently a bad person or was he a good person that was heavily influenced by riches and the luxuries of being a king? If you know the answer to this, and if you still keep your mouth shut, I will chop your head off into 1,000 pieces. Are you going to answer this question or not? So, my king, you must reply my question right now.
I shall answer you that question. When I look into this, VEERA was a very prominent and a dominant individual. He served the people all of his life, and he never ever wanted a king's throne. When the priest assigned him the throne, He was not ready, yet he still wanted to serve the people in every way which he can. Veera was not a bad person in his mind, but he was a person that eventually changed through time. Even though he was not selfish or self-centered, come on, he eventually mingled with people that were extremely selfish, and that changed him. Because if he was a man that could change immediately, then he would have been a bad human being. The first day, he became the king. But this change happened at that time. The ministers around him were the ones that completely changed them, as they were nothing but parasites. They should have been grateful and thankful to the priest for what he had done. It was the priest idea that made that nation prosperous and glorious. Had the priest not done that, none of this would ever happen in that nation.
Well, Vikramaditya, that is a correct answer. You have been very wise, but you absolutely forgot one thing. You have opened your mouth and spoken, which means that I am going to leave you again.
Veda leaves the king's shoulders and hops onto a tree branch and sits there once more. If you like this story, do like it, share it. For more new stories, please subscribe our New Stories Book English YouTube channel.